Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyervip.com. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, let's talk about a very important fight that just took place tonight. It's Deontay Wilder's successful defense of his heavyweight title over Gerald Washington. Now, let me say this. Gamblers were taken care of, because even though we would have made a lot of money if Washington had pulled the upset, the hedge of Wilder by KO actually held, right? But the question is, should it have? What I want people to do right now, and it is the day of the fight, February the 25th, 2017, right? I know at times I'm here online sounding like a lone nut, right? The guy in the back of the stadium who is talking about the end of the world or whatever, stuff that's way off the beaten path. So what I want people to do right now is to go to a very well-known boxing site, right, tonight, before the numbers change. And I want you to look at the live boxing scorecard, right? The live boxing scorecard on boxingscene.com. You're going to find out that tonight, against a 7.5 to 1 underdog, right? Washington's a huge underdog, folks. Many people didn't know who he was before the fight. You're going to find that according to Boxing Scene, watching the fight live, right, Deontay Wilder went out and lost the first round. He then went out and lost the second round. This is with Larry Holmes ringside next to Shelley Finkel, his advisor, right? Boxing royalty, big scene, Wilder's backyard, Birmingham, Alabama. Wilder then goes out and loses the third round. This is according to boxingscene.com. Wilder then goes out and loses the fourth round. Folks, he's getting shut out on boxingscene.com's website by a 7.5 to 1 underdog. By the way, I'm slow playing the 7.5. Because if you were in Vegas at the Westgate, one of the best sports books in Vegas, you could have gotten Gerald Washington at 20 to 1. So let's just say Wilder is getting methodically undressed. He's getting definitively outboxed by a huge underdog. Now, I know this is not what people want to hear, right? Wilder, after all, gave us this fight on free TV. He got less than $1 million for the fight, right? This is a heavyweight champ who gets it. He's taking care of us. But for those of you who saw the fight, you know Wilder started this fight slow. Not because of rust, but because Gerald Washington is throwing off his timing. This is a blueprint fight, right? First off, Gerald Washington figured out that if he backs up Wilder, Wilder backing up isn't able to get off that long right hand. So Washington is moving around, he's feinting, right, like he's coming forward. You're going to notice a lot of foot feints, a lot of leg feints. You're going to notice Washington get inside and throw jabs to the body. You're going to notice Washington in front of Wilder, two in front of Wilder, for Wilder to feel comfortable unloading with his long right hand. Let's talk about the knockdown, because quite frankly, I'm upset by it. Now let's be clear on what we were watching. We were watching a heavyweight title fight, right? These are the big boys. This is not the bantamweight division. This is not the featherweight division. Right here, guys don't get hurt once. Hit the canvas. Get up. Have the other guy run over and throw a bunch of punches. And then have the referee in a heavyweight title fight step in and stop the fight when Gerald Washington is not bleeding, has no cuts, can see clearly out of both of his eyes, doesn't have blood draining into an eye, isn't reeling around the ring, and quite frankly has won. Let's be charitable here. I'll even digress from boxing scene shutout scorecard. Let's just say Washington charitably has won 3 of the first 4 rounds. Right? It's ridiculous, folks. The stoppage is premature. It's so premature, Washington's completely lucid right after the stoppage. I don't deny that Wilder drops him the first time. The key punch in the sequence, I know some of you are going to say, the left hand. No, the key punch in the sequence is the straight right hand that starts it. That's what throws Washington off. Washington does go down. I'm guessing if Washington has a chance to look at the tape, he's going to realize that maybe he should have taken a knee the second time, right? Folks, if he's up by 4 rounds going into the 5th round, if he takes a knee and takes a 10-7, guess what? He's not only still in the fight, he's winning the fight by a round, right? Let me also say, too, that Wilder, and we're going to hold him to a higher scrutiny. Why? Because he's heavyweight champion, right? If you don't want to be judged on a high level, then stay in the background and don't wear the belt. The minute you wear the belt, you have a responsibility. People online like myself can then start saying, hey, here are the great parts of his game. Let's give Wilder that long right hand, and here are the parts of his game that are a little bit shaky. Can we agree that after Washington gets off the canvas, Wilder is less than surgical? In fact, he's a bit frenzied in trying to stop Washington. Now, I'm aware that the last punch he lands knocks Washington back to the ropes. But again, if you're the referee, you have to know that Washington is in the fight. That Washington was winning the fight going into the last round of it, right? The 5th round, right? That Washington is not clinging to life, hanging on. He's not Demetrenko against Joseph Parker. No, this is a guy who has the chance of a career, heavyweight title fight. He gets caught, goes down, gets back up. The heavyweight champ runs over, doesn't measure him, doesn't stop, wait, figure out the lay of the land, then land some heavy shot. No, he comes in and looks like Wilder did when he tried to follow up with Audley Harrison. Same type thing. Wilder comes in a little bit wild. If you're the referee, wow, are you going to tell me that you're going to stop the fight at that point without a second knockdown? That was crazy. This fight had a certain Carl Froch, George Groves 1 feel to it at the end of the fight. So let me say this. Looking at Wilder, folks, he's heavyweight champ. The holes are obvious. The belt is up for grabs, right? First of all, can we agree Wilder's not the most two-handed fighter out there? In other words, you're against Wilder. This isn't Vladimir Klitschko. This isn't Anthony Joshua, where I have to be thinking, where's his right? Where's his left? Right? I have to be conscious of both hands. No, with Wilder, I can forget about his left. I'm keying on his right hand. So, there are times when Wilder goes like this, right? Puts his hands up, is playing defense. The minute Wilder moves his right hand like this, you know you can move forward. Folks, read the movement on Gerald Washington, who I'm guessing right now, tonight, is unconvinced that he shouldn't be the favorite if these guys ever fight again. He knows more than anyone else. He left the heavyweight title on the table. He has Wilder timed so well that as Wilder looks like he's about to get ready to throw a right hand, Washington will step forward and clinch him. Folks, this happens repeatedly in the fight. Other times, Washington moves over and hits him to the body with the jab, knocks him back. If you want to know why Wilder's punch count is down, it's down by design, and the design is not his. It's his opposing fighter. Right? Wilder needs to figure out how to transition a little bit better, so that as a guy comes forward and he has to back up somewhat, Wilder still needs to figure out how to throw that right hand while he's backing up. In other words, his offense has to fluidly come from his defense. He can't be in a zone as he was here in this fight, where he's being defensive for stretches of the match. And you understand, while he's being defensive, he cannot get off that right hand. Let me say this. Wilder's a great athlete, and he is a great athlete. Right? When he gets off the right hand, you notice the hand speed. You notice the movement. He's completely coordinated. You don't even realize how tall he is. He's a tall man in the ring who's very coordinated. There's a gracefulness to Wilder's moves. Now, Dominique Brazil, who beat Uzi Ugano earlier on the undercard, Dominique Brazil doesn't have Wilder's gifts, right? He doesn't have that right hand that Wilder has. That's one of boxing's best punches. He isn't the athlete Deontay Wilder is. He's a little bit clunkier than Wilder. But I'm just telling you that if Dominique Brazil fought the fight he fought tonight against Deontay Wilder, the heavyweight belt would have changed hands. I'm just telling you, if this ref didn't get too caught up by the hometown crowd and would have just let the fight roll 10 more seconds, 10 more seconds, where either Gerald Washington clears his head or he doesn't. If Gerald Washington gets a chance, right after a 10-7 round, to clear his head, we might have had a new heavyweight champion, right? If you didn't see the fight live, what I want you to do is to search for Premier Boxing Champions. They've actually posted the ending of the fight. You're going to look at the ending of the fight and you're going to realize, wow, this is premature. Understand, it's the first knockdown in the fight. Folks, it's the only knockdown in the fight. Washington gets back up, beats the count easy. Wilder comes over, is frantic, because he knows he's been outboxed for 4 rounds. Right? He throws a bunch of punches, he lands one solid shot. You see Washington go back into the ropes and bounce off the ropes, still has his wits. Again, this is the heavyweight division. This fight should not have been stopped. Right? There's a distinct possibility, I would call it a likelihood, that if the fight made it into the next round and Washington was able to reestablish his pattern, right, backing Wilder up against the ropes, right, himself being able to have his back against the ropes at times, and being able to step forward and clinch Wilder before Wilder throws the right hand. At times he even ducks under the right hand. This fight would have been interesting, right? If you believe BoxingScene.com's scorecard, if you believe that the underdog was up by 4 rounds going into the 5th, had this fight been allowed to make it to the 6th round, right? If Washington just splits the last 7 rounds of the fight, if he wins 3 of the last 7 rounds of the fight, a lot of people would be biting their fingernails, waiting for the judges' scorecards. This fight was that close. Wilder has a problem fighting inside. His offensive game is not that varied. It's too reliant on the long right hand. You can tell when he's going to throw it by his movement. He hasn't yet figured out how to avoid being clinched. He can't work the long right hand into combinations, right? Doesn't quite know how to frame it. So he's a heavyweight learning the ropes who has the belt. The belt was up for grabs tonight in a fight in which he was facing, conservatively, a 7.5 to 1 underdog. Right? In my opinion, the heavyweight division remains wide open. I congratulate Wilder on closing the show. Right? He is the heavyweight champion. He didn't hit the canvas. The other guy did. Right? But let's just say, while I know to the press his corner's not going to say we were sweating on this one, use your own 2 eyes and ask yourself how many of the first 4 rounds you gave him. Right? Understanding that BoxingScene.com gave Wilder, fighting in his backyard, none of the first 4 rounds. And as you see, Washington doing things like bending at the knees, feinting like this. And as you see Wilder having to reset off the feints, right? And when you see Washington get inside and he's able to duck down, land shots to Wilder's midsection, and Wilder's unable to stop him, right? Then tell me why in the comment section to this video you think Wilder is a dominant heavyweight champion, right? Let's do more than just look at the guy's record. Let's do more than just look at the guy's KO percentage. Break down the fight for me. What was your scorecard after 4 rounds? In the comment section to this video. Thanks for stopping by, and let me say this too. I know stoppages by referees are inherently controversial, right? I already know at least 45% of you are going to say, Dwyer, did you want this guy to get killed? And Dwyer, you're a sadist, whatever. Okay, fine. Folks, again, this is the heavyweight division, right? How many times did the referee allow George Foreman to knock down Joe Frazier? Right? All I'm saying here is, okay, fine. Gerald Washington goes down the first time, right? When he gets up, does he look lucid? Does he hit the canvas again? Right? Wasn't he in the fight when he gets knocked down? I believe Washington could have continued. I believe the ref deprived him of this opportunity. Again, it's the heavyweight division. Folks, the undercard had a heavyweight fight with more knockdowns than this one. Right? Guys in that fight got up on far shakier legs and were allowed to continue. That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. Let me tend to this cough. Thanks for stopping by.